A lot of people are approaching getting in shape, becoming healthier, and getting fit the wrong way. And I really can't blame them given the state of social media, especially with different influencers telling you so many different things like drink lemon water, cold plunge, paleo, carnivore. You just become paralyzed with all of this information. That's why today I'm simplifying all of this into the 3 essentials of fitness and health, what actually matters. And by the way, welcome to TFitX. I'm Tyler. I'm a certified personal trainer and a registered nurse. And this is the first video on the channel, which I'm super excited for. And my goal is to just help people understand health and fitness without overcomplicating it. The first essential is obvious, but often approached incorrectly, and that's exercise. So let's say our goal is to lose 30 pounds. Maybe it's a New Year's resolution, and most people think that they need to sweat and burn as many calories as possible, usually in some form of cardio, like running, biking, or like a boot camp style class. And I'm not saying these are bad things to do. They're way better than just being sedentary, but this probably isn't the most effective thing to do for long-term fat loss and aesthetic changes and just our overall health. Instead, the type of exercise that's gonna be our best return on investment in terms of time and effort is gonna be strength training, AKA weightlifting, resistance training, however you wanna call it. While cardio burns more calories per session than strength training does, it doesn't typically build muscle. And building muscle is key for a healthy metabolism. Muscle is the most metabolically active tissue in your body, meaning the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn, even at rest. For example, let's say Karen does lots of cardio and she tries to burn as many calories as possible during her workouts. Her maintenance calories may be around 1,800. So if she eats more than that, she would gain weight. But if Karen switches to strength training and just focuses on getting stronger, she builds muscle and could boost her maintenance calories up to maybe 2,300 over time. Now, if she eats that same 1,800 calories like she was when she was doing cardio, she's in a 500 calorie deficit and can easily burn fat if that's her goal. So how should you strength train then? Well, the cool thing is it doesn't need to be hours and hours in the gym every week. You could literally just go once or twice a week and you'd still see some very noticeable results. Or on the flip side, you could just spend 10 to 15 minutes a day doing a few exercises at home, especially if you've got some basic home equipment like dumbbells or a rack. As far as specific exercises go, you want to focus on compound movements. So these are exercises that move 2 or more joints or work 2 or more muscle groups at a time, like a bench press or push-up, a squat or deadlift, or a pull-up or rowing movement. Now, I'm not saying you're not allowed to do isolation exercises like biceps or triceps, but let's be honest, guys, that extra ½ inch of muscle on your arms, is that really the difference between you getting that girl's number, or is it your personality? Another thing that a lot of people get wrong about weightlifting is how they rest, and they turn it into cardio basically because they're only resting for like less than 30 seconds between sets. Instead, at a minimum, you should be resting 1 minute or preferably probably 90 seconds or even more. The rule of thumb you should follow is your muscles should be the limiting factor in how much you can do, not you being out of breath. And if you're not ready to go to the gym, that's totally fine. Just starting with bodyweight exercises like push-ups, squats, pull-ups, or anything else you can do with your body is great as well. And if you're not even ready for that, just being more active, like walking, can have huge health benefits. Personally, I love going for short walks after meals. I'm talking like less than 10 minutes. If you do that 3 times a day, I guarantee you'll notice a difference and start to feel better. For my personal training clients, I like to give them a reasonable starting goal of about 7,000 steps per day, with the goal of working them up to around 10,000 or so. And ideally, do this outside. I just live in Ohio and we just got hit with a huge snowstorm, so I'm stuck on the treadmill. Now, I'm not trying to demonize cardio and say that it's not worth doing. Cardio has tons of amazing health benefits, but when it comes to someone trying to make big changes, strength training is gonna be our best bang for buck. However, for someone who's already in a decent spot looking to have the perfect complete fitness routine, yeah, absolutely, they should be including at least some forms of cardiovascular training. The second essential health and fitness tip is our nutrition, and this is often super overcomplicated. So to simplify, we're gonna break this down into just 2 main guidelines to follow. First, we wanna focus on whole foods. So whole foods are single ingredient items, things such as any type of meat, fruits, eggs, vegetables, potatoes, rice, and many other options. But there's also plenty of minimally processed items that are still great. For example, Greek yogurt, olive oil, and yes, it's technically processed because they have to press the oil out of it, but it's just olive oil, or things like pastas and many other options. A good rule of thumb to know if something is highly processed or not is to turn it over and look at the ingredient list. So these are instant mashed potatoes here. Look at the ingredients here. It's not just potatoes. There's lots of other things in here, and a lot of these are things that I don't even really know what they are or how to pronounce. Those are things that we generally want to avoid. But why are processed foods so bad for you? Well, let me give you this example. Pretend this is a bag of Lay's potato chips, like one of the little small single serving bags, and that this is a regular potato. I don't have them right now, and I'm not driving to the store in the snow to go get them. But it takes half of a small potato to make a bag of potato chips. And that bag of potato chips is usually 160 calories or so. But the same amount of potato to make those chips are only about 65 calories. So about 100 calories less for the same volume of chips. The difference is the processed chips have additives and oils to make it taste way better and make it a lot harder to stop eating. The second guideline to go by for our nutrition is to prioritize protein, because protein is the building block of muscle, and most people don't eat enough of it to build muscle or perhaps even to just maintain what they have. But how much protein should you eat? Well, there's been a lot of debate on this subject recently, and you'll hear different things on who you talk to. Some studies have showed benefits for muscle building of going all the way up to 1.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, that's 260 grams of protein in a day. But a lot of other studies suggest that it's not nearly that much to maximize the benefits, and that the max amount of protein that you would need to eat is about 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200, that's 160 grams of protein. Still a lot, but way less than 260. Now, I like to keep it simple and just tell people to aim for 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200, shoot for 200 grams of protein. Now, if you fall short of that, you're probably fine, and it's not a big deal at all, but it's always good to aim a little higher anyway. And if you do go over it, great, you're probably still receiving some benefits, especially when it comes to muscle building. And remember, back from point one, all about exercise, building muscle is one of the most important things for our overall health, especially our metabolism. But what if you've got a lot of weight to lose? So let's say you're 250 and your goal is to get down to maybe 220. Do you still need to hit 250 grams of protein? No, I say just go off your goal body weight. So instead of basing it off 250, as long as you hit 0.8 to 1 grams of protein for your goal body weight, you'll be just fine. Now, to hit your protein goals, it probably makes a lot of sense to track on an app like MyFitnessPal or any other app or method that helps you know how much protein you're getting. But if you don't want to track, I totally get it. Just follow this rule instead. One, make sure you're eating mostly whole foods like we talked about first. And second, in all of your meals, make sure it has a high protein rich food source, like any type of meat, eggs, Greek yogurt, milk, or even something like whey protein if you're in a pinch. Obviously, whey protein is a very highly processed item, but I do think if it helps you get your protein goal because you're struggling to do it with whole foods, it's a good tool to use to help you. The third and final essential, which is often the most overlooked, is sleep. Sleep impacts everything from muscle recovery, metabolism, mental health, and even weight loss itself. A study by Nedelcheva and colleagues, I'm sorry, I totally said that wrong. They compared two groups of people that were both in a calorie deficit. One group, they got good sleep, 8.5 hours of sleep per night, while the other group was restricted to only 5.5 hours of sleep. Both groups lost weight, but the sleep-deprived group lost more muscle mass than fat, while the group that got good sleep, most of their weight loss came just from fat and they preserved their muscle. And if your goal is to build muscle instead of lose fat, remember that sleep is the most anabolic thing we can do. Anabolic meaning building muscle. You don't grow muscle when you're lifting, but actually when you're resting, and particularly when you're sleeping. Lack of sleep can affect so many things like our cardiovascular health, our cognitive function, immune health, and it's even linked to reduced longevity. Like if you don't sleep for a long enough time, you can literally die. So when people are saying, I'll sleep when I'm dead, like, okay, good luck with that one. So at a minimum, you should be getting at least 7 hours of sleep. And that's not 7 hours in bed, 7 hours of sleep, but ideally shooting for 8+. So here are some tips to get better sleep. First, stick to the same schedule of when you go to bed and when you wake up. So if during the week you have to be up by 7 a.m. for school or work and you go to bed around 11 p.m., That means on the weekends, you shouldn't be sleeping in past 8 a.m. and you should be in bed asleep no later than midnight. And I get it. Like, I was in college one time too, and I love to be up till super late on Saturday nights. But when Sunday came around, falling asleep Sunday night and then waking up Monday morning for that 8 a.m. class or work, that was horrible because my rhythm had been completely thrown off because of Saturday night. Something that can help you stick to this routine is to set a bedtime alarm in your phone, or in this case, my iPad. So I like to set it about an hour before I need to be completely in bed by, because when that alarm hits, it tells me I need to stop what I'm doing and get my butt to bed. If you have trouble falling to sleep, one of the best things you can do is to avoid screens late at night. Up to an hour to 30 minutes before bed, stop looking at screens, or at least use something like blue light blocking glasses. Now, my regular glasses have blue light blocking on it, but these are like the Super Duty ones because they have an amber tint, which helps block even more of that blue light. The reason why blue light is bad for us when it comes to our sleep is because it's emitted from our screens like phone, TV, etc. And it literally signals the brain to make it think that it is daytime and that you need to be awake. So instead, listen or read a book, play a podcast, listen to music, or maybe just talk to the people you live with, like your family members, which I know it sounds scary. I get it. Some other tips to improve the quality of your sleep would be to do things like keeping your room nice and dark with blackout curtains. Keep the room very cool and clean as well. A lot of people will do a decent job focusing on the first 2 points we talked about, of exercise and nutrition, but they think that sleep isn't that important and they can get away with it. And I'm here to attest myself from personal experience that when I finally got my sleep fixed, which was the last thing I got fixed, I couldn't even explain how much better I was feeling, but also I had the best strength and muscle gains I've ever had in my life once I got my sleep right. So these three essentials of exercise, nutrition, and sleep form the foundation of good health. And if you just focus on working on these three things alone, everything else will kind of fall into place. And guess what? You don't have to be perfect, just be consistent and make a solid effort. If you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments and let me know what other topics and types of videos you'd like to see me cover in the future. And please drop a like, subscribe for more of this. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the first ever video on TFitX, and we'll see you in the next one.